User management can be found by going to the Euclid dashboard menu here. Here it is. User management is an advanced feature of Euclid and is typically used by Euclid system administrators who manage a central Euclid instance which is being accessed by multiple users. It supports the management of users and the roles and groups associated to these users. With this feature, you can manage a user's profile and contact details, as well as assign to a user legal entities and Euclid roles. A user can have more than one role associated to them. The Euclid role defines what operations and data a user has access to. In addition, a user can be associated to one or more security groups. A security group is typically used by a central Euclid administrator to share entities with a defined set of users who are part of a particular security group. The entities can be substances, mixtures, literature references, annotations, etc. Let's see how the user management works in practice. First, I click on the user. On this screen, you will see a list of users. This list of users can be managed in different ways. You can sort the users alphabetically or chronologically. You can create a new user by clicking on New User, or you can search existing users through the search bar. The users can be searched by their username, their first name, or the last name. All these search criteria are available in the UI before you. So for instance, if I want to search for the first name John, I can quickly search for this particular user. Let's see what mandatory fields are required for each user. Let's create a new one. So as you see, next to each field where there is a red asterisk, you need to fill out this information for the user to be saved. In this case, you need to fill out the username, first name, and last name. And finally, you also need to add a legal entity, which is also your working legal entity for the user to be saved. Let's go to a user I created previously, this one here. All these fields were available beforehand in the classic interface, so I won't go through every single one, but show you how the interface is working generally to manage your users. So as you can see here, I have already updated the user profile. I have a username, first name, last name, and email. This information, in addition, can be actually viewed through the user settings in the top right-hand corner. Here is my current profile of my current user I'm working with. In this user, I can add a contact person here. I have a list of contacts that are already existing in my Euclid database, and I can search for these through the search bar. Again, I can search for all the values that are available in front of me in the user interface. So for instance, if I want to find Jeremy as a username, I can search for that here. If I only know a certain part of one of the search criteria, I can use a wildcard search to find the contact I'm looking for. For instance, if I know that XYZ is part of the organization name, but I don't know the rest, I can encircle these with a wildcard search, and I can find it quite easily. You may notice also that this is case insensitive, so I can put this in lowercase and it still finds the correct organization. Okay, let's add one of the contacts I have here. So further below, just to show you how this works, you can add roles, assign legal entities and groups to a certain user. To add a new role, you can add a new item here. Here, a list of roles that are existing currently are available to select from. Again, these are searchable by the values that are shown in the sliding window. So I can search by the role name or the role description. Currently, I have a custom role which I've created and assigned to this particular user. And finally, below, in the user preferences, this is shown only when instance-based security is active, when I have group management activated. The options shown here define the default levels of access and sharing per type of entity per security group, when a user is creating or importing data. Let's go to the role part. So a similar setup as in the user management, we have a list of roles which we can sort and we can search by as well. When you're searching, you can search by the role name or the role description. And again, the wildcard search applies. So for instance, if I know my role has the word access in, I can put wildcard search around it and my results will find everything with access. There are two other roles with access as well in the description. So it's found three results. I can also create a new role like I did for the user previously. Let's go to my custom role I've created. So here in the custom role, I've put my own role name to give an indication what this role is doing. This role means that the user associated to it will not have access to reference substances. And I've put a short description about what this role is doing. In the permissions or access to operations, this user will have access to the print operation and all these plugin operations here. However, the user will not have access to the export import options. This is because the user does not have, in the case of export, read access to all the entities and inventories, or in the case of export, all the read, write, and delete rights to all the entities and inventories. If the user is given read access, for instance, to the reference substances, which currently the user does not, you will notice that the warning next to export disappears, and therefore export is a valid permission in this case. I will turn back this to no access for the reference substances and also unclick export and import. So here in the permissions and access to data, as you've just seen, you can set read, write or delete access rights to all the Euclid entity data. Below, you can actually select at the section document level access rights. This is presented in the form of a tree, complete table of contents structure, and you can navigate through this to select the access for the various sections. Below this, we have application management, whereby a user is given system administrator rights for various actions. For instance, this user will be able to manage roles and users with a read access. And below, IBS management, whereby the user can, in this case, read group information. And below we have a list of assigned users to this role. We can add new users if we wish through adding a new item. Let's now go to the group part. The group management is activated if you turn on IBS, instance-based security. As you can see, there's a list similar to the users and roles, this time of groups. By default, there's always, when installing Euclid, a common group. In this case, I've created a new group of users called Group of Users No Access to Nitric Acid. With this, just to remind you, you can also sort and you can also search, this time by the name of the group and the description, and you can, of course, create a new group. Let's go to this custom group of users I've created. So here I've put in a descriptive name of the group. In this case, I've indicated that this group should have no access to a substance nitric acid. And I've put a brief description saying that all non-default users should not have access to nitric acid in terms of reading, editing, or deleting information of that substance. And you can see here, like for the roles, a group of assigned users to this group. Let's quickly show you how this group security works. Currently, I'm logged in as a super user. If I go to my substances and I go to nitric acid and I go to share, you can see that this is not shared in the common group nor in the custom group I've created. Therefore, my custom user, as he is a member of both of these groups, will not be able to see nitric acid. So if I log out and log in as my custom user, and I go to substances, you'll see that nitric acid has disappeared. These two substances remain because these are shared with this user.